My name's Sean Connors and welcome back to The Outsiders. This is question 4 of the 5 questions that Andre C. Martinez has posed for Sean Connors, aka The Outsiders. Question 4 is all about GMs changing their play style and tips around this to make sure the players don't get too frustrated when you do things like this. And really, what is changing your play style really? Well, in essence, there are 2 parts to this question. The first one is what is a play style? Play style could be that you normally, like I do, I normally GM fantasy type games are my favourite, and for most of my groups they seem to be the favourite genre. There are a number of reasons why. I think because fantasy games include most of the types or the tropes that most players generally gravitate to, so it seems to work very well. Plus that fantasy seems to have this wonderful balance that allows you to play for very long periods of time, quite happily. So that's the reason I enjoy it. But of course, if I want to change a pace, and I love things like maybe doing a Western or Call of Cthulhu, or something that's going to be a real change of pace, different style. Naturally, of course, I don't just plough ahead and go and do it, because if I do and a certain group doesn't like it, I'm on a very sticky wicket if I haven't bothered to talk to them, because they're going to vote with their feet, or the game's just going to grind out of steam. It's just not going to work. So you're always better as the GM to talk to your players, explain what you want to do in the next campaign, or give them several options and let them pick the one that they best like. Give them 3 or 4 that you would like, and then you'll pick one that they will like. And generally, if both sides of the camp come together, you generally have a really great game. The other thing, of course, to changing play styles is the way you do it. A lot of GMs will talk about they like to do a very even split between action, role-playing and investigation. I like to give about a third each. Well, that's fine, but if you always do that, games become very stifled and very stale. So I think one of the keys is continually shift that approach. So sometimes have it very action-based with a little of the others, or much more investigative and role-play based with very little action, but when the action comes it's downright gritty and dirty and very dangerous. All those things can work very well in the right type of game. So I totally understand that. Plus, of course, it does develop, as you quite rightly say through the question, it does develop you as a GM to challenge the skills that you've picked up. So if you've learning how to ad-lib because it's not something you're very good at, having a very heavy role-play game is going to encourage and bring out the best, and this is a very good point to this question, the very best in what you do in regards to challenging you to bring out those skills that you've recently acquired. You're going to have to do a lot more of it. And this is very helpful because, again, if you're not particularly good, say, for example, at set pieces or setting up combat scenes, having a game that's going to force you to challenge yourself is excellent, and Shifting Sands will do that. I often call it smoke and mirrors or shifting sands. Smoke and mirrors really is a great way of, where you're not very good at something as a GM, you give the illusion you are. Because it's important. The players love to see the fact that they think there's no weak link in the GM. We've all got them. We've all got bits that we're not particularly good at. It's how you mask it. And so that comes often with time. You have to practice these skills. And sometimes the only way to do that is to force yourself. So using what you've just suggested, Andre C. Martinez, is a fantastic thing. And I hope that makes a lot of sense to answering your question. So let's move on to the final question, the one that Andre in question 5 goes on to put the following statement that he believes that the RPG brigade is growing exponentially, and that some have recently spoken of a hierarchy and others, including himself, have pointed via videos and dialogue regarding elitism. I think these conversations are now coming to a close. However, something has been on my mind since it occurred. Basically, has this recent set of videos about elitism and the brigade and possibly splitting off or having some sort of hierarchy to it, has that changed our personal perception of what the YouTube brigade is and what our channel stands for? Now, I need to quickly define this. The YouTube brigade and the community are actually one of the same. Now, unfortunately, because of the terminology used, the YouTube brigade actually have a Facebook page, and I think this is where the confusion comes in, because I think the better question is, has the YouTube RPG community become as personal to you as your channel is? I'll go on to explain that in a minute. And I need to talk first off, of course, what the brigade actually is. The Facebook RPG Brigade page is just that. It's just a closed Facebook group. And I think this is what's caused some confusion, because those that are new and producing videos probably hear about this group. There's no direct way into it, so you feel it's a closed group, and therefore, which it is, but not a closed group in the way that you think it is, and therefore this creates conversations around elitism. We've heard about elitism before. It's nothing new. It's been around, anybody that's been about a number of years will know it's been around several times. So I think that's created confusion. Now, I've recently had to make sure to distance myself from this confusion, because I've made it clear on the Facebook page that for the moment, the Facebook page in the nicest way serves no purpose for me. And I don't mean that, it probably came across in the wrong way, and I may have phrased it poorly. No one really reacted to it. I think they understood what I was meaning, and that is that it's of no real purpose to me at this time. I need to distance myself from it and make it clear to any new channels coming in that it's not critical. You will probably ultimately get an invite like anybody can into it. That's down to the people that organise. Anybody actually who's part of it can actually invite anybody in, to be honest. And that's also another problem. Yeah, it becomes a strange problem in its own right, that certain people are invited in, certain people haven't been invited in, some people got upset about it, and so on and so on and so forth. So the truth is that I need to put that part of it to bed. So I'm no longer a part of the RPG Brigade Facebook page. Now the community is everybody. The community is anybody that watches the videos, contributes to them, does videos, puts a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a negative. Even the trolls, funny enough, contribute to the RPG community by definition. By adding anything to it, it collectively helps. So as a community, you know, I know the conversation has been bantered around, but I think it's really straightforward. You know, the community is the driving force behind my channel. Basically, the bottom line, without a community, I wouldn't have a channel. And without my support, some people wouldn't feel confident enough to do their own videos, and vice versa. Many of the great channels out there that constantly produce videos have inspired so many people to pick up the microphone, get a video out, and go ahead and record their own videos. And that's fantastic. And not only that, we've all gone off, and a lot of us are teaching other people if they want the help. And that's the question. You know, if somebody comes to me, they know that if they email me or if they send me a question, I generally do reply. It's occasionally I don't get to them because we get so many. I mean, I honestly do get so many questions, it's impossible to keep up with them all. And I've even started quite some time ago, actually, where people have come to me and said, yes, I would like some personal help. What can you do? I do a number of individual Google Hangouts or Skype where I'll talk to someone and we'll talk about their campaign, or we'll talk about them as a GM and help them where they want the help and where they're falling short. And you have to remember with all of this, ultimately, GMing is a personal journey, isn't it? It's impossible. It's unquantifiable. No one can say for any certainty who's the best, who's the worst, or any of that stuff really is unimportant, because, as somebody quite rightly said to me recently, what one man's meat is another man's gravy. You know, what you think is good, somebody else will think is bad, and so on and so forth. It's impossible, like art, isn't it? And it is an art form, GMing, like all role-playing is an art form. It's in the eye of the beholder, and the eye of the beholder is all those people that contribute, that come to your game. Now, I've always said it, and there's no doubt about it, people will vote with their feet, the same way that when they watch any of these videos, they have every right to vote with their feet. If they don't like it, they certainly don't have to watch any more. I wouldn't even dream of thinking that, you know, I haven't over the time period annoyed people, frustrated them by my opinions, and vice versa. Of course I will have done. But what my hope is that at large, anybody that can see through any of their issues that they may not like of the style that I want to produce or what I want to do, the reality is they can see one key clear thing. My channel is totally focused on the community, not the other way around. It's not self-serving. It's not I'm doing this to get views, to get subs, to get whatever you want to call it. The truth is, I've never really chased those. It's only recently that people have started really subscribing in large numbers, and I'm completely at a loss to know why. I don't know. I don't know what it is that's done that, but it seems to be really helping. But I do know, you know, that truth is, you can't judge people's channels on subscribers or viewers because they can be bought. That's one of the troubles with YouTube. It's, you know, it's there for anybody to use however they want. So the most important thing, to wrap this up quite quickly now, is just to say this. Ultimately, you know, it's a personal journey, GMing, like doing YouTube videos. Your audience, your community, will vote with their feet. The most important thing that we can do as members of this community is encourage our audience to pick up the camera, the same way I'd encourage anybody who wants to GM, and get them to start producing videos. It does not matter whether they talk about a subject that's been talked about a million times before. There is never any end to this. There are more videos than people think. You cannot run out of subjects to talk about. DMing is unlimited, and the truth of it is I could rattle off 3 or 4 videos a day indefinitely if I choose to do so on the subject of role-playing, but I would bore the audience to death, and I know that I would actually ultimately as well burn out. So I do take regular breaks, mostly because I need them, and secondly, I know that my audience also needs a break from me sometimes. And I'm always on a personal journey to make sure, like I do with my videos, like I do when I GM, that when I come back each time, that it's better than the last. I like to think I've improved a little, thinking about the audience at large, and I'm still trying to help the community as a whole. And that is the noble cause that all of us should endeavour to do. It's been a pleasure to answer your questions, Andre. I really appreciate you taking the time out to give me 5 questions. I apologise that I'm not able to answer these in the normal way that I would. I cannot raise my voice very high. It is a struggle for me. I'm actually very under the weather, but I really appreciate the time period that you took to do this, and I'd like to thank everybody for listening to this video. I'll leave a few links, and anybody that hasn't seen Andre's channel, please check it out because he's doing some great stuff. And obviously I'll try and put a couple of links to a few other things that I think are well worth seeing as well. Thanks for taking the time out to watch these 2 videos. Look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Take care of yourselves. Happy Christmas, happy gaming, and a happy new year. Bye bye.